What is up, you guys? This is MB Cash. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Arcade Classics Mortal Kombat mini arcade game by Basic Fun. Now, for those of you guys who have gone to the toy section in Walmart, this will seem familiar. Basic Fun has been making these miniature arcade games that are just so cool. They are throwbacks to some of the old arcade classics that many of us enjoyed playing back in the day. They have arcade classics such as Frogger, Galaga, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. They even have a Fix-It Felix Jr. from Wreck-It Ralph. Well, here it is. They are finally coming out with the original Mortal Kombat. Now, I first saw this at San Diego Comic-Con. That's where I believe it was unveiled. And believe it or not, this particular one that you see in front of you, I won just by beating the game. So basically, here's what you need to know. This thing is not scheduled to be released until the fall. When it does come out, it will be exclusive to Walmart and it will run about $20. Well, I have it here. I got it for free just by beating the game, and today we're going to take a good look at it. So, this is the Mortal Kombat mini arcade game, and we'll go ahead and bring it up close here so you can get a better look. So, there's your classic Mortal Kombat logo right there at the top. As you can see, it says ages 13 and up. Now, normally, these mini arcade games by Basic Fun are ages 8 and up, but because this is Mortal Kombat, it's a 13 and up. Now, you're probably wondering, why is it 13 and up? Shouldn't it be 17 or up? Well, I'll explain that in a little bit. But first, we got the dragon logo right there, that familiar Mortal Kombat dragon. 90s gameplay, as Mortal Kombat came out in 1992 in arcades, followed by the home consoles such as the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. A year later, Arcade Classics includes three AA batteries, which is awesome. So you don't have to put batteries in this thing. They are already inside the game and it's good to go. And as you can see, there is that cabinet art. Now, in this case, it doesn't have the actual original Mortal Kombat 1 cabinet art design, which was Johnny Cage doing a flying kick with the dragon in the background. Instead, we got the MK3 version of Scorpion from the Versus pose, but still cool nonetheless. Switching it over to the back, Mortal Kombat Classic Arcade gameplay. Select your fighter and battle opponents in one-on-one time matches. Drain your opponent's health bar to win each round. The first to win 2 rounds wins the match. Play a finishing move to hear the famous words, "Finish him." Well, actually, it's fatality if you do your fatality, but same, you know, you get the point. And there's the game itself. So, I'm going to go ahead and open this thing up, so when we come back, we'll get a better look at the Mortal Kombat Arcade Classics mini arcade game. So don't go anywhere, guys. Stay tuned. So there it is, the Mortal Kombat mini arcade game. So, as you can see, it is done in a classic arcade cabinet style. Very cool. We've got a joystick and 6 buttons. For those of you who are familiar with Mortal Kombat Classics, then you are familiar what each button does. We got a high punch, a low punch, we got a high kick, a low kick, and we got 2 block buttons this time. So, kind of like the old game controllers for the 6-bit game consoles like the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. Very cool. And then there is a start button. I like the artwork. You can see here there are sticker decals. I already mentioned the side cabinet art right here. It's not exactly the original. Instead, it's just Scorpion from MK3 in the Versus green pose. But it has the original marquee design, which is cool. It's got the Mortal Kombat logo with the 2 dragons on the side. And we have some side art right here with the dragons. Let's see if we can get a better look. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see that okay. Very cool. Now, as far as how big this thing is, sorry, get a little tongue-tied there. Let me take out my measuring stick. So this thing measures about 6¼ inch. So not bad. 6 inches and a quarter. And as you can see, it also has an on button or off button, on and off button, or power button I should say, and a volume button. It also comes with instructions, so these are the instructions right here. We got our game, and it basically just tells you how to start the game, the controls, it even tells you the layout of the screen. You even have some basic moves, as well as some special moves. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't list all of the characters' special moves and fatalities. It just lists only one move. But luckily, we have something called the internet and Google, so if you want to know all the moves, just Google it. But if you're a hardcore Mortal Kombat fan such as myself, then most likely you're already familiar with all the moves, especially if you've played the original Mortal Kombat over and over again, more than once. Alright, so let's say we turn this thing on, shall we? Let me move this stuff right here. There we go. Alright, so without further ado, let's play. And hopefully the camera focuses. So this may look familiar. That's right. Believe it or not, this is not actually the original arcade version. This is actually the Sega Genesis version of the game, or Mega Drive for those of you who are from the UK or from Europe. So this is the code screen. So just like the Sega Genesis version, this is what you get at the beginning. So essentially at the very, at this game's core, it is a port of the Sega Genesis version, which is pretty cool because I grew up with the Sega Genesis version. Some of you might have grown up with the Super Nintendo version. Others, like me, grew up with the Sega Genesis version. Now, I know the Super Nintendo version was the more superior version, the more superior port of MK1, but I always enjoyed... Oop, you gotta focus there. There we go. I always enjoyed the Sega Genesis version because I just liked the sound and the music, even though the Super Nintendo version was a lot more faithful to the arcade. And the thing that the Sega Genesis version had that the Super Nintendo version did not have was a secret code to get the blood in the game. That's why it sold a lot better. So yeah, this is actually the Sega Genesis version. So we're going to go ahead and play a couple of matches, maybe one or two. So there you go, just like the Sega Genesis version, you got your menu here, you got a game start and an options. This is the options menu. Okay, so one thing I will mention before we start playing is for some reason when I go to the options menu, this thing just has a mind of its own. I'm not doing anything, and as you heard some of the sounds, I didn't press anything. So let me... Okay, so I didn't do that. I didn't... Okay, it just did it on its own. It just moved on its own, but I don't know why it does that, but oh well. I'm not going to change any settings. We're just going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it at the default settings. See if I can bring in a little closer. You can just get a better view. As far as the volume goes, real quick, there are three settings. There's a medium, a high, and a mute. So I believe it's on medium. This is high, and this is off or mute. There we go. Alright, let's get started, shall we? I'm going to go with my guy, Raiden. I really wish I would have seen this thing on the first day of Comic-Con because I cosplayed as Raiden. That would have been so cool. But oh well. The most important thing is that I found it and I won this thing. So my first opponent is Sonya. Sorry. There we go. Okay, now you're probably wondering where's the blood. Well, again, this is the Sega Genesis version, and the default settings of the Genesis version had no blood. You had to put the code in. So because of that, that is why this thing is ages 13 and up, as I mentioned when we were looking at the box. This is actually the first 13 and up game that this, oops, and I messed up on the fatality. This is actually the first 13 and up game that Basic Fun has made for their Arcade Classics line, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, because there is no blood, it is a 13 and up. Otherwise, it would have been the 17 and up. So if you guys remember, if you guys had the Sega Genesis version of MK1, then you'll probably remember in the case it said rated MA13. This is back before we had, you know, the the E and the T and the M. So this is originally MA13. And that's what we get here. But nonetheless, it's still cool. And it's another victory right there. Raiden. Let's see if I can. I hope I can do my fatality, because I want to show you guys how they censored his fatality in this game. Oh, there it is. Yep. Normally he would shoot lightning into the guy and then their head would explode, but in this case they just fall over dead. So that's how they censored Raiden's fatality in the default settings of the Genesis version. The SNES version, the guy just turned into dust, except for the skull. I'll do one more match, because after this, you'll do Test Your Might, and I want to show you that. Because it's after every 3 matches, the Test Your Might came up. Yeah, this brings me back to my childhood. I enjoyed playing the Sega Genesis version of MK, as well as MK2 and 3 a lot. In fact, I hope they do MK2. That would be awesome, because MK2 is still my favorite when it comes to the classics. When it comes to the classic 3 Mortal Kombats for the arcade, I love playing MK2. It's my favorite. So I hope they do an MK2 someday. That'd be awesome. I would totally buy it. Yeah, messed up the fatality again. I'm not used to the joystick controls and everything, but oh well. I'm used to a regular game controller. And here's Test Your Might right here. And got it. So I'm going to turn this thing off. Oops, accidentally reset it. There we go. So yep, that is it. That is Mortal Kombat for you. This is the Mortal Kombat mini arcade game by Basic Fun. So this is just a really cool item. I'm certainly glad I got this. It was really cool because, you know, they were Basic Fun at their booth at Comic-Con. I guess they were doing a contest, like a kind of like a high score contest, and apparently I was the only one who beat this thing. They had the Mortal Kombat game out so people can try it out and play it, and nobody else beat it. I was the only one who did it, so because of that I got to walk away with this one. And to me that is just awesome, because this thing is not scheduled to be released until the fall of this year at Walmart, and here I am playing it right now, months early before its official release. So I think that is awesome. I definitely feel special. But when it does come out, I would definitely recommend this thing. It's just a fun little nostalgia piece. If you were like me and you grew up with the Sega Genesis, then this is definitely an item you would want to have. I want to mention something real quick before I forget. For those of you who remember the Sega Genesis version, as I already mentioned, there was a code that you had to enter to get the blood. I tried it and it just didn't work. I tried doing it on
the whole code screen at the very beginning. I even tried doing the dollar code to unlock the cheat menu, and it does work to some extent. If you get the buttons right, it will appear just for a brief second, but then it disappears. So I guess in this case it was just not meant to be. But all in all, it's still fun to play. I definitely enjoy it because it brings back those childhood memories. So if come fall, when these things are out at Walmart and you see them in the toy section, please get one. They are going to run for about $20, so it's not bad. So I would definitely recommend the Mortal Kombat mini arcade game by Basic Fun. It's just really fun to play, and it will definitely bring back all those old classic childhood memories of the old school Mortal Kombat games. So that is it for today. We were taking a look at the Basic Fun classic arcade Mortal Kombat mini arcade game. So as always, don't forget to like, share this video, favorite, and more importantly, subscribe to the channel. And